Hi, my name is Michael Pacheco, and I want to talk about how the coronavirus has affected climate change in Beijing, China. So first off, I want to talk about how the city was before the virus. So before corona, Beijing actually had a lot of smog, and it was very cloudy and hard to breathe. The area was very crowded, people were like on top of each other, and it was just really cramped up. Also, they drove a lot in Beijing, and the cars that they would use had used gasoline, so the emissions were going up and be released into the sky, and that would cause the smog to get worse. But since the quarantine has happened, those problems have started to clear up. The smog has cleared up. It's safer to breathe, easier to see, and just all around healthier air-wise. Some animals that used to live in the area are actually coming back into the city and roaming around since the large crowds are gone, due to people being stuck inside their houses. But not only are the old animals coming back, but there are new animals that have never been there before, and they are starting to come out and roam into the city. And just because, like I said, the large crowds are gone since they're in quarantine. Now, while that is good, there is still concern about the pollution coming back after the quarantine is lifted. People will be eager to get out and do the things that they used to do as soon as the quarantine is lifted, and people would just try to drive around, and the gas emissions could come back, and the smog could potentially come back. And also the animals that had just come back into the city could be driven out again, even the new ones that came in. But I do have some suggestions on what could help the pollution from stopping. Some of them are trains, buses, and bicycles. Now, while they do use all three of those already, they could expand the companies and get more trains, because if you look at the trains over in Beijing, everyone's really crowded and squished together. So if you put more trains, that provides more space for more people, and they would use that to their advantage instead of being all squished together. Buses are kind of the same way. They both get cramped up, but they both use buses frequently, so if you expand more on that, then they could use more buses and just have more space to move around. Now the bicycles, that's if they have one accessible to them. As you know, it doesn't release any emissions because it doesn't have an engine. So it's just safer for the environment, and it also gets you to the place that you need to. Now another thing is that you could also work from home. And what I mean by that is the companies could alternate workers. So someone could work at home for a little bit of time, and then someone could work at the business building for where they usually would work. And then they would alternate those two into working from home and working at the business. Another way is geothermic energy, and that is energy from under the ground. The heat that is being brought up and turned into electricity to power the things that we need, or that they need to move on in their everyday lives. Now they could also regulate the power plant, refineries, and chemical plant emissions by making the regulation stricter. And what I mean by that is just letting them release less emissions, so that not as much carbon dioxide is being released into the atmosphere and causing more climate change and more smog. Now, if it is possible, there could be a way where we could try to get the same amount of work done, but also still release less emissions at a time. And then a few more ways is solar energy, and as you may know, that is energy from the sun. They could use that to power the electricity on products that are solar powered, and things that they could use that could be transformed into a solar powered product. They could also use wind energy, so the wind from the turbines, that's used to power the houses and give them light and electricity and all that, and just let their houses live and give them power. And if they don't use the trains or the buses or the bikes and still want to drive around, they could also use alternative fuel in their cars. So the alternative fuel would just let them drive around the same way that they want to, but it would release less gas emissions or no gas emissions, and would just be all around safer than gasoline, which is what they use already. Now, I know that these suggestions could be used and they could help, but I would need everyone in Beijing to actually use them in order for it to take effect. Now, I know it's going to be hard because everyone wants to come out and do all the things that they used to do, but hopefully they can put their minds together and work together in order to achieve the goal that they want and keep the environment the way that it is right now. Thank you.